You know what? I'm sick of reviewing anime for a while. I want to review a video game. I know, I'll review my absolute favorite, Disgaea. You know, it's funny, I was actually introduced to this through its anime adaptation. Oh, come on! Alright, fine, I'll do it, but I'm doing the video game next time. Alright then, Makai Senki Disgaea is an anime based off of the hit video game series by Nipponichi. Is the story as good as the original? Not quite. But are the characters and the personality and charm of the show adapted well into the anime? Mostly. So let's dive right in. Our story takes place in the Netherworld, a place populated by demons, and where the moral standards are completely reversed as compared to humans. The supreme overlord of that Netherworld, King Krichevskoy, has recently died, thus sparking an intense competition for the throne. Laharl, the late overlord's son, wakes up 2 years later and sets out to conquer the Netherworld and proclaim himself overlord, while accompanied by his father's former vassal Etna and an angel trainee Flan. Our main trio consists of the demon prince Laharl, who is aiming to succeed his father, and with which all positive thinking makes him sick.
Wonderful life.
World peace!
Literally. The king's vassal, Etna, who decides to monitor Laharl to make sure that he becomes a proper successor, while also working toward her own goals. And the angel trainee Flan, a young angel who was initially sent to assassinate the overlord, but decides to follow Laharl and Etna in order to learn about the true nature of demons. Now, aside from the three main leads, we also have Mid-Boss, aka Vyers.
I am the aristocrat who loves beauty and strength above all else. I'm Vyers, the Dark Adonis.
A demon aristocrat who fancies himself Laharl's rival, as well as Gordon, Jennifer, and Thursday, people sent from Earth to defeat demons in the name of justice. These guys provide a bunch of comic relief and support similarly to how Team Rocket operates in Pokemon. Also coming along for the ride are the Prinny Squad, a group of demonic penguins who host the souls of criminals trying to pay off their debt. Now, they say this show is a quote-unquote loosely based adaptation, and when they mean loosely, they mean prison bitch loose. Now, please keep in mind that this doesn't make the show bad. In fact, I have no problem with adaptations changing the content for a different medium. In general, it's just different. In fact, for this show, I only really have a problem with one episode, but we'll get to that later. The entire cast is full of fun and memorable characters, filled with the charm that you'd want to see in an anime or video game. The setting allows for the Netherworld to have a unique and charming personality, with this carrying over to the residents in the Netherworld, with them being similar to humans, but just a little bit off, like real demons. The show does a good job of maintaining a lighthearted feel, and even to this day I find myself laughing at some of the slapstick and dialogue, but is still able to bring it back a bit and get serious every once in a while. Now, while it is not action heavy, the presentation does a good job of making you feel the tension and weight of the conflict regardless if there's actual fighting going on. The character who unfortunately got the short end of the stick out of our main trio is Etna, since although she does mention that she thinks very highly of King Krichevskoy, it is never brought up in detail why she values him so much, nor do we get a much more in-depth look at her relationship to Laharl. Surprisingly, the person who is actually expanded on more in the anime is Mid-Boss.
Prefer to be called the Dark Adonis.
He is given plenty of screen time, and the show does a great job of communicating his personality not just through dialogue, but through his actions. I also really enjoy how the show plays off the relationship between the three races. Looking at the human race from an outsider's perspective turns real-life issues like global warming and overpopulation as humorously cathartic, while displaying the angels as being extremely prideful of their designation of the absolute good. Also pretty interesting. Now, while the original content in the anime is fun and interesting, as a fan looking back, it is a little disappointing to not see some of the content that would have worked great in the anime, such as the Prism Rangers, Aramis and Zombie Hunting,
And a horse wiener!
the alternate Netherworld overlords, the Picnic at the Sea of Gehenna, or the Ghost Superhero. These were all fun, goofy storylines that just fit the tone of the anime perfectly. Now, while I appreciate what they did with the adaptation, setting it more as a journey through the Netherworld, centering the story around the castle as the base point would have worked much more in its favor, and here's why. Number one, they could have played around a lot with the setting of a large castle as the hub. Number two, it would have helped flesh out some secondary characters that, say, Laharl and Etna grew up with or something. Number three, the use of the Dimension Gate from the games would also allow for a greater variety of settings. Number four, and this in turn would make certain storylines from the game, like the ones I mentioned mentioned earlier, much more viable. Number 5, it would not have made any negative effect on the overall story that they told. And finally, number 6, it could allow the cast to grow and play off each other with their slapstick instead of just being sidelined to just one episode each. I would have liked to see characters like Zeniski utilized more throughout the setting as Laharl's vassal. Now to go on to the only episode that I got a little mad at. It's not that it's bad. In fact, this episode comes from a side story of the game that, like all the others I've recommended before, go with the anime quite well. It's just that it was handled slightly incorrectly, with the thing being that the Prinnies are abandoning their duties as servants to the demons in order to pay off their debts, which just doesn't make any sense. But still, it was pretty fun. The themes represented in the show are love, forgiveness, repentance, and tolerance, which is represented pretty well in the anime, aside from the filler. However, the ending's climax sort of takes away from the overall weight of those themes. It would have been fine if they had followed the normal ending to a T, or even better had they gone with the canonical good ending, since it gives much more weight to what happened in the previous episode. Overall, Makai Senki Disgaea is a fun little romp that, while a little rough around the edges, is still funny even to this day, and despite a few trivial canonical errors, both fans and newbies can find something that they'll enjoy. My final score for Makai Senki Disgaea is a 7 out of 10. Whew. Now that's my review of the anime. Next time I'll be able to talk about the video game. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again.